Are you a professional pilot and fear that if you fly a drone, you could lose your livelihood? Well, this episode of In the Hangar, shot last year, explains how you get your drone license, or certificate for those dotting their I's, especially if you already have your pilot's license. Here it is, slightly edited and reposted. Hi, and welcome to In the Hangar. I'm here with Tom Conte. Tom, you are a drone expert. Tell me about what you've got.
It's a new, exciting field. It's really confusing, but it's not hard to get the license. It's a little more study than most people feel, but it will pay off. And there's a lot of job opportunities, and that's the problem, is that there's a lot of people looking for drone operators. There's a lot of drone operators, and right now there's not one place where these two people come together and find jobs.
To get my pilot's license, I had to go through a CFI, Certified Flight Instructor, and I had to be signed off by a DPE. So what's the process? What's your certifications in this whole process?
The FAA has made it easy. A lot of the information is online free. You can go to the FAA website, .gov, go to UAS, and I'll list all the material that's going to be on the test is there. There's also commercially available test preps. You could buy sample questions online, thrown in your laptop, and pretend you're taking a 60-question quiz. You got to take a test, and that's what's catching people. It's not just flying a drone. There's very little flying questions. A lot of it's on the national airspace because the drone's got to work with the real airplanes. So that's what's catching a lot of people. You can't use an app. You got to go in there with a piece of paper and a pencil, and that's how you take your test. So these people are used to having everything on their phones. You got to study it. You got to remember it. But it's not hard. It's not hard.
I know there's a lot of places that are offering, a drone course for $150 or a drone course for $400 or whatever. People don't have to go through a school, an official thing.
Correct. Right? You don't. I thought I was going to make a killing teaching the class. People were charging $3,500 for a class, and I could do it for less. I rented space in a library, had 2 4-hour classes. It does take about 8 hours of studying at least, but you could do that on your own. You don't have to go anywhere. I think the software is $20 and a copy of the test supplement. When you sit and take the test, you get a little book that has charts in there because you're reading the same aeronautical charts as pilots. That supplement book is $20, so for $40, you got what you need to take the test. And even nowadays, the FAA does warn people to watch out for companies charging a large sum of money because you could do it for nothing. There is a cost to take the test. You have to find a computer test center, and it's $150. No one else does it cheaper. Just sit for the test. The other thing is, if you're using your drone to make money, it has to be registered, and that's $15. And you could do it yourself. It's an online thing. They'll take a credit card to register your drone. So commercial operator has to have the drone registered and have the Part 107 license to be legal. And then nowadays, to fly someplace, the FAA has a portal where you could go and say, I'm going to be flying here at this altitude, and you'll get a blanket waiver.
Right, for that flight, for
right,
that
it's taking care of your 3-3 form, and you get a blanket waiver. I get them at 6 months intervals, so I could operate in a particular area that I want to operate. And then I got to abide by the federal regulations for airspace like a normal pilot.
Okay, so if I know that I'm going to go do some drone work at a location that's outside of the normal, 400 feet, 5 miles from an airport, blah, blah, blah. If I know I'm going to be need to be inside that, I would go onto this website for the FAA. What's the website for that?
When you go to the FAA.gov, they have always a little square that says UAS.
Okay.
That stands for Unmanned Aerial Systems there. Click on that, and you just follow the links to say applying for airspace waivers.
Okay, so then when I do that, And how long does it take? So if I got to shoot tomorrow, can I get that waiver?
That's tough.
Okay.
That's tough. You can use common sense. You could call the local FSDO here. They're pretty reasonable here and say, hey, blah, blah, blah. Don't call the tower. The tower,
Right.
Tower doesn't want to know you for anything. But tell the FSDO, again, if you already have the license, they're going to expect you to be a reasonable person. But yeah, it's much quicker than before. It only took a couple weeks. I filed for one. There was a question. Once I answered the question, I got it 2 days, 48 hours later.
Okay.
So it's not that hard.
And it was all online?
All online.
Okay.
Well, and then another thing too is that everything's focused on taking the non-pilot and getting them through a 107 so that they can get their UAS pilot license.
Right.
What about for those who are pilots and want to get their 107? What's the procedure?
The FAA has a program called WINGS. It's a recurrent training program, and one of the classes they have is the Part 107 UAS. It's about 2 hours. You run through that course, and when you're done, you print out a certificate, and there's a number on that. And then you go to the online application for the FAA that you always use to file for your license, and pull up the remote pilot license app and fill it out. You put that course number in there. When you're done, you'll contact an instructor like me, and I could look at your app wherever I am. I could click on it, and once I say it's right, you'll get, within 10 minutes, you'll get a temporary email to your house, to your email account there.
So as a pilot, it's really easy to get a 107 drone license.
Yeah, one thing I forgot about pilot, you got to be current. You have to pass.
So I got to show you my logbook
Right.
and show you that I've had my BFR within 2 years
Right.
and all that kind of stuff.
So pilots, it's fairly simple. You just have to find an instructor to click on it.
Why would somebody get a 107? I mean, if I'm just going to fly the drone for fun, do I need a 107?
No, you don't. You don't need it for fun. There's a lot of little things. You see these people flying with goggles, and technically you got to have that to fly the 107, because you have to apply for a waiver. To fly anything, you have to have your eyeball on it.
Right.
So you can't technically fly with goggles. A lot of people are doing it, but if you're a professional person...
And you have to have a spotter?
Yes, you should.
For all 107 stuff, you should have a spotter anyway.
It's not required, but it makes sense.
I thought it was required.
Yeah, no, the 107
I think
class,
on the 333 it was required.
Right, yes. They addressed that specifically in an online course. The other thing I want to make point out, if a commercial pilot, a Part 161 pilot, has a 107 license, if he does have an infraction on 107, they're not going to take.
Oh, that's really good to know.
Unless you're really dumb.
Okay.
If it's an honest mistake.
So for the most part, it's a separate license that I get.
It's a separate license.
So it's not like an add-on to my commercial pilot's license.
It's a second license, and the FAA
keeps those separate.
Keep it separate. So if you do have an infraction or an action against you, unless it's really.
So the fear that I would have as a pilot of, I don't want to get a 107 because if I mess up something with my little hobby drone, I could jeopardize my certificate.
Correct.
So yeah, I get that. That's good.
And so they made that clear, because there was a lot of airline pilots that had the opportunity to work for a production company, and they were afraid, like, if I have an accident with my drone, I'm going to jeopardize
my livelihood.
Yeah, my livelihood.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, we're going to make that, unless it's not blatant crazy stuff.
Well, I hope you found out some good stuff about drones. Tom, thank you so much for being on the show.
Welcome.
And please like, share, and comment below. And thanks for watching.